Hey guys, it's my character Nagami here again, and I'm here to give you the second part of my Hyrule Warriors videos top 10 list. My first video was for my top 10 locations. If you haven't seen it, go ahead and check it out. It doesn't really matter what order you watch these videos in. I'm just going to be referencing that I'm doing a characters video later in my last video. So if you want to go ahead and check that list out, feel free to. It's not really important because you can just watch this list right now. Either way, locations and characters are two big things that I love in the Dynasty Warriors series, so it's going to be something that I'm really looking forward to in Hyrule Warriors, probably even more than the story really, because this is what I play Dynasty Warriors for, characters and locations. So with that said, I'm going to just go ahead and get into my top 10 characters that I want to see in Hyrule Warriors. My number 10 spot is going to go to Princess Zelda. And I mentioned this in my last video that I was going to start off with characters that I thought were more likely to make the series since this was more of a wish list. And honestly, I think Zelda is pretty much a given at this point. I mean, I think I can speak for most of us when I say that if Zelda is not in this game, I'm going to be disappointed, which is the biggest reason that she's only really at number 10 is just because I really don't see her not making the game. Two other characters that I'm not actually including in this list are Link and Impa, just because they've already been confirmed, so I really don't see any reason to put them on a wish list top 10. Maybe a top 10 characters in the game after the game comes out. But for this point in particular, I'm just going to say put Zelda in the game. I don't see her not making the game, as I said, which is why she's number 10 again. I know I'm kind of repeating myself, but number 10 has to go to Princess Zelda. My number 9 location is actually going to go to a Link, but not the Link. And this is going to be Dark Link. The reason I'm going to put Dark Link in this game is because everyone loves Dark Link. He's one of the biggest boss battles in the game. I know he's pretty much a mini boss in Ocarina of Time, and he was a real boss in Zelda 2. So I think that Dark Link being in this game is really something that should be done, and I think that it's probably going to be done too, just because it's Dark Link. It's kind of hard for me to say that he should be left out at all, because he really is just that iconic character, and I'm usually not one for saying give one character 2 slots, but in this case I will make an exception because Dark Link is his own character for me, but I would also accept it as just like an alternative costume for Link. But yeah, number 9, I have to go with Dark Link just because I think that he should be in the game. Alright, my number 8 spot is going to go to Ganondorf, the ultimate bad guy in the series. And the reason this dude comes in above Dark Link and Zelda for me is just because I love villains and I love Ganondorf. I know that doesn't really necessarily say why Dark Link is below him, but for me Ganondorf is just the more iconic character in the series because he is freaking Ganondorf. I know another reason I'm leaving him so low though is because I just think that Ganondorf's going to be in the game as far as I'm concerned. I don't see how they could possibly leave this guy out completely. I don't know how they're going to do it. Like I said in my locations video, I think that it would be cool if you unlocked him in Ganondorf's Tower from Ocarina of Time. But either way, I really just want to play as Ganondorf in the game, and I really want to see what his design would look like. I know we have a different main antagonist in this game, but it doesn't mean we can't still include Ganondorf. So my number 8 location is going to go to the awesome Ganondorf. Alright, I know I'm copping out a little bit here with my number 7 choice, but I really feel that if you include one of these in the game as a character, that you have to include the other two as well, and that is going to be Din, Fawar, and Nehru, the goddesses of Hyrule. And just as I said, these characters really should be included as a package sort of deal. Maybe this could even be their big E3 reveal, as having Din, Fawar, and Nehru as like 3 characters that are just instantly introduced and save everything else for later. Um, but either way, I would like to play as all 3 of them. I would like to see what kind of costumes and things that Dynasty Warriors would actually give these 3 characters, because we've only really seen a Din, Fawar, and Nehru in a couple different settings, and one of those times they just look like golden Oscars. So yeah, I want to see what they could do with their move list. I want to see what they could do with their looks, everything like that. And I just think it would be totally cool to play as the 3 goddesses, especially when you have Hyrule Warriors, which actually gives you a chance to really be creative and have fun with what you're making. My number 6 spot is going to go to Link's rival from Skyward Sword, known as Girahim. And the reason I'm including Girahim on this list is because Girahim, of course, was a rival character to Link. We had like 3 boss battles with him in Skyward Sword, and I just think that, he should be in this game for that reason. I'm not sure exactly where we would unlock this dude. Maybe he could actually be in the Ancient Cistern or something, because Ancient Cistern is one of the most loved temples in Skyward Sword. So we could maybe just throw Girahim in there. But either way, I just think that having Girahim in the game would be really cool. I would love to play as him. And, he's just a really good rival as far as I'm concerned. So, yeah, I want to see Girahim in the game. Alright, my number 5 spot is going to go to Ashe from the Resistance and Twilight Princess. If you don't really remember who Ashe is, maybe just go look up a YouTube video, or you can just look at the video that I will be having in the background here, and you will see Ashe in here. I mentioned this in my locations video, but she could be a really cool character to unlock in my Snow Peak Ruins wish for locations in Hyrule Warriors. She's a swordsman. She really just looks like a character that would be in Dynasty Warriors already. So that's another big reason I think that she could be in the game. You don't really have to do much with her. She's got her sword. She's got everything. You could still be creative with her, but her character is pretty much already made. So you don't really have to do much with her. You can just throw her into the game, maybe add on a few sprinkles, I would guess, just to make her a little more creative. But either way, I loved Ashe in Twilight Princess, even though she really didn't say much. She was really just another member of the Resistance. I mean, I could see maybe another character from the Resistance being in the game. I want to say it's Aru, who had the big cannon, and that would be kind of cool too. But if I was to just include one character from the Resistance, it would definitely be Ashe, and that's why she's my number 5. My number 4 spot is going to go to one of the main villains from Twilight Princess, which is Zant, the Twilight King, I guess you would say. The reason I want to include Zant on this list is because I really loved him as a villain in the series. And, kind of like Ashe and Girahim, he kind of has a move set that's already made for him. And just from what we saw in the boss battle, he's kind of like a Voldo-ish character from Soul Calibur, I guess. So you could do something like that, maybe with a little less of the creepy vibe that Voldo gives off. But, yeah, it's kind of hard to make Zont not creepy, but I think Voldo is really just a good comparison for what he might fight like, just because of the boss battle that we had with him. But I would love to play with Zont. I don't know where we would unlock or anything. Maybe we could have like one location, which would be the Twilight Palace from Twilight Princess, and that could be the location that we unlock him from. I mean, I would totally accept that. That was actually in my other list of locations that I would like to see in Hyrule Warriors, which is probably maybe even my top 5 honorable mentions. So yeah, Zont, I would really love to play as Zont in the game, and that's why he's going to come in as number 4. And now we get into the characters that I feel that the makers of the game could have the most fun with creatively, because these 3 characters have their kind of things about them, but we've not really seen them fight so much. My number 2 has fought a little bit, but in a different kind of setting. So my number 3 is actually going to go to the Happy Mask Salesman. And the reason I want to include the Happy Mask Salesman on here is because Ocarina of Time Majora's Mask, we got to see the Happy Mask Salesman, and he was really freaking awesome. Most people who played the 2 games really like him, and I think he could be just really cool to make a moveset for. Maybe something to do with his mask, you know. I don't know exactly what they would do with his moveset, but Ashe Aonuma is the producer of the game. He's up there helping them make the game, so he could really just say, "Hey, put the Happy Mask Salesman in the game." He was the guy who directed Majora's Mask, after all, and you know that was, as I said, my favorite game in the series in my locations video. So yeah, Happy Mask Salesman, I think, would be an awesome character to play as. Aonuma could give them some ideas if they can't really think of anything on their own. He may have some thoughts on how Happy Mask Salesman would fight already, but if they can really just come up with some cool moves for this dude, I really want to play as the Happy Mask Salesman, because he's my second favorite character in the series. My number 2 spot is going to go to my favorite character in the series, and a dude that I actually had at number 1 until just recently when I switched it up for a character that I think is most likely not going to be in the game, but I really would love to see in there. And so my number 2 is actually just going to be the Skull Kid. It doesn't really matter which Skull Kid, because I love the Skull Kid either way. Something that he could really do with his powers is, you know, he has his flute and everything. He could use music as sort of a fighting style. I know in the One Piece Pirate Warriors games, we had Brook, who used this music style, and it actually worked out pretty well. So it could be really cool to see what they could do with Skull Kid. Like I said with Happy Mask Salesman, they could have some creativity things with this too. Maybe he could, you know, control puppets like he did in Twilight Princess and have them attack for him, which would be pretty cool, I would say. Either way, though, I would say the Skull Kid is my favorite character in the series, and I definitely would probably play him the most if he was in the game. So I'm going to say number 2, Skull Kid. I really want to play as him. Alright, my number 1 spot is going to be a real shot in the dark. This is going to be my biggest out there wish for the entire list, which is why I saved it for my number 1. This character has really shown no interest in fighting or anything like that, but just because the way she was shown in the Twilight Princess game, I was really just sitting there like, hey, this girl would make a pretty freaking awesome character to play as in Hyrule Warriors. And that spot is going to go to Agatha from Twilight Princess. Now, stay with me here for a second. Agatha, she has bugs. You can use these bugs for her fighting style. It could be really cool. I played as Perona in One Piece Pirate Warriors, and she was really cool. She had the umbrella, kind of like Agatha does, but she used ghosts instead of bugs, and they still made that pretty cool. She was kind of a slow character, which made her a little harder to use, but they did still put her in the game, which shows that they don't mind using creativity when making their characters, and I think Agatha is really a perfect choice for someone that could just be creative with. As I said, she hasn't really shown any interest in fighting in the series, which may hurt her chances to be in the game, but that extra bit of creativity that they could have with her is something that I think would be really cool for the game. So Agatha is going to be my number one spot. Um, Also, I have to mention that something that I just thought of, her little castle bedroom type of thing could also make a kind of interesting location for Hyrule Warriors now that I think about it. I actually didn't include this in my top 10 list, and I probably still wouldn't because it's kind of out there as well. And there's not really much to do with it. But if they expanded it a bit, it could be a really cool kind of location to unlock Agatha in. But either way, I have to say my number one spot has to go to Agatha, just because she can be so creative with her, the bugs, the umbrella, everything like that. You could just really have fun making this character, and I think the fact that she hasn't fought at all really actually works in her advantage too, because you can have that much fun making her as a character. People aren't going to be pissed off if you screw up this character either, because I'm probably the only person who would put Agatha at my number one or even my top 5 because she's just such an out there character. But either way, I'm going to say Agatha, number 1. I would love to play as this girl in Hyrule Warriors. So there we have the top 10 characters that I would like to see in Hyrule Warriors. If you haven't seen my top 10 locations for Hyrule Warriors, as I said, go back and check it out. Give me some comments and some thoughts on that one. And after you finish watching this video, give me your own thoughts and comments on this. Maybe there's some characters that you think should have been on my list. Maybe you can make your own top 10. Like I said before in my locations video, I'm not really one to change my list very often, so you're probably not going to convince me to change any of these, but I would still love to see your thoughts because, you know, I really love the idea of what kind of characters we could have in this series. And I mean, just look at your list and be like, oh, cool, that character sounds pretty awesome. I could really see why you want that in the game. Some characters that I didn't include might have been like Vadi or Agni, which I think would also be pretty cool for the game. Another thing I have to say is having customizable Gorons or Zors or things like that would be pretty cool. I didn't include Medley on this list, but she's also someone I would totally accept in the game because she's one of my favorite characters in the series. I just wasn't really sure how to fit her in here, which sounds a little weird since I included Agatha on this list. But either way, um, like, comment, subscribe, leave your comments on this video and my locations video. And I hope you enjoyed my Hyrule Warriors video. And let's hope for more awesome things at E3.